lastly, don't fool yourself. In the game of golf, any of you know anything about the game of golf? One person, two persons. Well, that's not very much golf going on. Okay, in the game of golf, they have a little ball they call the ball. They put it on a little wooden thing they call the tee. The goal is to hit that ball the fewest times up to what they have a little cup on a green with a flag, and you're supposed to keep score. At the end of the hole, the scorekeeper says, how many shots did it take you? And the goal is the least shots. And you know you had 10, and you say, I just write 7. Who is the fool that's trying to fool the fool? It's the same thing with this bracelet. You can't fool yourself when you hear it. And that's part of the message. Now, this is not a cause bracelet. This is not a movement. This is a tool, and there's over 1,000 schools that have taken this up already. That teachers have grabbed a hold of it. You can go to complaintfreeworld.org and download the school program that will teach you how to implement when you are ready to take the challenge. Okay, now I have people around that say, well, when I'm happier, I'll take the challenge. Come on, that's like saying when you get in shape, you'll go to the gym. Right? Come on. Jeez. Okay, a little bit of the history of the Complaint-Free World Challenge. He takes this thing on in 2006. He comes up with this idea. 100,000 of these bracelets get sold or handed out. So he writes this book. The book just takes off. The book is so successful that in 2009, it is the #1 selling book in China. 2010, it's the #2, and today it's still on their top selling list 8 years in a row. Apparently, the rest of the world is complaining too. It's not just isolated to the U.S., and it's not just isolated misery. It's going on everywhere you go. So, what is the solution? And what are the effects? Okay, marriage counselors will say, if you could get them to tell the TRUTH, the #1 majority cause of divorce is chronic complainers. They want to get away from them. Somebody does on the team. Now, relationships. You have friends, relatives that are just artistic about their complaining. They're so good at it. Do you want to go spend every spare second and every meal with them out? Do you want to hang around them when they're always complaining? You know who they are. 78% of United States workers report that they spend 4.5 hours a week listening to co-workers complain. So you do the math, guess what that says? 1 out of 9 can be eliminated because of the time that's spent complaining amongst each other. Now, what are the effects to health? Study after study after study from doctors have shown 67% of illnesses are caused by complaint behaviors. So I say, I wonder if we could cure those same 67% with compliments, congratulations, praise, and what's going well with you today, what's working well in your life. Who doesn't want to hear that? Everybody wants that. Darren, this is your charge. You're going to tell everybody today before they leave what a great job they're doing. Can you do that?
Absolutely.
That's what I wanted to hear. We already made headway here, right?
And you have to do it individually, not as a group.
So, Mr. Bowman
We'll
says,
give you a couple days.
Mr. Bowman says, there's 15 to 30 complaints per person a day in the world. I went on the web, there's 2013 last worldwide census. We have 7,125,000,000 people on this planet. So they're complaining on the low end. There's 106 billion complaints a day. day, filling the airwave with what kind of sandwiches? Meatloaf sandwiches. And what's in our ear?
Pollution.
Pollution, yeah. And what are we going to do about it? Hopefully, we're going to take the challenge and try and go 21 days. It's not that difficult. Now, I can't give you any real numbers of how many people are successful of the 11 million of these that have been handed out in the world in 106 countries. I can't give you the statistics of how it works, but I can only tell you for me. Here it is, day one. Day one, 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 day two, day one, day one, day one, day one, day one, day two, day three, day one, 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 day one. You get really good at day one. How many of you know or remember where you were when the Twin Towers fell? Do you remember that time and almost that moment? I call that a point of epiphany. That point of epiphany for me was on day 16. I know right where I was with this bracelet cause. I was sitting in front of a lady, and she said, her name is Linda Brock. She looked at me and she said, "Mark, you're so happy. You're so joy-filled. You're giving out compliments to everybody. You listen to everybody. You're so uplifting, and you never say anything." That's the message, how to get to 21 days quick, and everybody will be your friend. It's the greatest sales tool. It's the greatest training tool. Say nothing. Now, flip it around your students. Are the best students the ones that listen the most? Or are they the ones that are complaining? No, they're the ones that are listening, right? So on day 16, I think to myself, how am I going to get 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21? I don't dare say a word. Because I don't want to go back to day one. I'm 4 months into this thing. I started the challenge on December 2nd, 2014. So for 17, 18, 19, 20, I didn't say a word. And I remember, because when I started it, I went and sat down 25 people in my office. I got out a notepad, and I challenged them all to put the rubber band on the bracelet and take the 21-day challenge. And 25 of them signed a piece of paper in front of me that they would take the challenge. So day 16, I start looking around at wrists. I can't find any rubber bands, bracelets on anybody's wrist. Proof I am the world's biggest complainer. I'm the only one left still trying to get it. Or everybody fell back to the old communication skill level and went back to taking it off and saying, "Not me, oh no, I don't complain, I'm just not taking the challenge." Or they moved it so much they broke the band. And that happens too. So, it gets confusing because you can't see or hear yourself with the complaints. You don't really realize that you're doing this. So where do you go from here? Well, I had a statement that I had up here a long time ago. How do you read this? Is it opportunity nowhere? Or is it opportunity now here? Kind of could be both, couldn't it? That's like a person doesn't think they have a complaint. Ask their spouse. I'd like you to think of 4 principles today. First one is think, dream, D-E-L-I-E-V-E, and dare. Think, dream, believe, and dare. I said it, I never like to say that. This one. I'll have to spell it. Think of the values and principles that your parents, mentors, and teachers once bestowed deeply within you. It was Emerson that said, I think, people only think once a day, I think. Dream. For without dreams, there is